Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 104 of the Quiz Mercenary Quarantine Edition Shutdown Pub Quiz. I am Tim, I'm your host again, coming to you from a little bit of a different location you've seen before. These are actually the sub-basements upon which the Quiz Mercenary bunker was built. The situation has taken a bit of a turn in the topside levels, so I have retreated down here to get a little bit of solitude. Anyway, I've got a good game for you today. Sorry it's a little bit late. There have been some difficulties in getting some broadcasting equipment down here. Not enough ammunition, supplies in the trip upstairs. So we're going to get things going here. First things first, if you are just joining us, this is a trivia video. I used to be a pub quiz, but there's no more pubs anymore. There's nothing anymore. There's just yourself and your comrades alone in their own homes. I've got 4 different rounds of trivia today. You can play this game all at once in one big fell swoop, as it was intended to be played in a pub quiz, or you can break it up into their individual rounds. The rounds are the warm-up round up first, a wager round second, connections round third, and finally, and I feel appropriately, the final round. These are the times up here if you want to skip ahead to each one of those rounds. But if you want to let this game play out as it's intended, then just sit back and buckle up. A couple of things before we get started. This game does have answer sheets that you can fill out. If you want to print those up and fill them out, then head on over to my website. It's quizmercenary.weebly.com. It's available right here. No, actually, if you go there, you'll find we have printable versions of each of these episodes and lots of other little goodies eventually. Finally, I do want to mention that I am doing this in support of my former patron bars on the topside surface levels. Those are pictured here, and their links are in the description. If they have any virtual tip jars, if they're doing to-go sales, feel free to give whatever you can. And beyond that, let's just enjoy this show. So, let's just enjoy the show. Let's go into this first round of the game. This first round of the game is called I Never Even Knew Had a Name. It's our warm-up round. The warm-up round goes like this. You're going to have 16 questions, all on the same topic. I'm going to put them all on the screen at the same time. You're going to pause the screen and work on your answers. If you're playing by pub quiz rules, 10 minutes is about the usual time, but feel free to give yourself whatever amount of time you feel necessary. So, here we go. This one, I'm going to give you 16 pictures of very specific things. Each of them have a very specific name. I'm also giving you an answer bank on this one. There are 18 answers, though, so 2 of them are not used. I want you to choose the correct name from that answer bank provided, and you give yourself 4 points for every correct answer. So here we go. Take a pause right now. I'll see you in a moment for the answers. Bye-bye. And we're back. Let's take a look at those answers, folks. Starting with number 1, and that's a pumpkin that looks like a big old juicy butt. That is natiform. Natiform refers to anything that looks like human anatomy, most prominently the butt, is what I think it refers to most of. I think any anatomy fits for that one, but mostly butt. Number 2, that type of cork in cage is called an agraffe. A-G-R-A-F-F-E. 3, the infinity sign is called a lemniscate. 4, that is a Brannock device. Brannock device, that shoe size measuring device. 5, second row, that is the aglet. 6, that coffee cup sleeve is known as a zarf. Z-A-R-F. 7, the space between your thumb and your forefinger is known as a perlicue. Number 8, the only name on that list that fits that hashtag sign is Octothorpe. Octothorpe. Number 9, that symbolization of curse words is known as a Grawlix. 10, that lower third text that you've sometimes seen on my show. It's called a chiron. 11, the division sign is known as an obelus. 12, that is a caruncula, a little corner of your eye. 13, that is a snood, that sort of scarfy, flowy, infinity scarf type thing. 14, those divisions in window panes are called muntin. 15, illegible handwriting is known as griffinage. And 16, man boobs are gynecomastia. Gynecomastia, that's, well, gets us all, doesn't it? Anyway, the two that were not used in this were glabella, which is that space between your eyebrows, and mondegreen, which is a misheard word of line of lyrics of poetry. Those are your answers. Go ahead and give yourself 4 points apiece for each one of those. Total them up, and I'll meet you back here for the wager round. See you in a moment. Bye-bye. And we're back. Welcome back, folks. Round number 2 awaits the wager round. In this round, you're going to get 10 questions, 10 pretty difficult questions in 10 different categories. I'm going to ask all 10 in a row. You're going to answer them and wager on your answers. Your wager can be any whole number, 1 to 10, but you can only use each wager value once. So make sure you use your bigger ones on the ones you're more certain of, because if you're right, you'll earn those points. If you're wrong, they're just 0. They won't count against you, no negative points, but you don't earn the points for the ones you get wrong. So, that is that. Here we go in this round. Question number 1 is called Champagne Inputs. Here is the question itself. Champagne is made from either red grapes, which is called Blanc de Noir, or white grapes, which is called Blanc de Blanc. But for true French champagne, there are only 3 grape varietals that are allowed to be used. There are 2 reds and 1 white. In 3 guesses, I want you to name any of those 3 varietals. If you get any more than 1 in your 3 guesses, give yourself a bonus point each. Number 2 is in the category Harry Potter or Human Anatomy. Here's how this one's going to work. I'm going to give you 5 different terms. 3 of them are Harry Potter terminology. The other 2 are Human Anatomy terms. I want you to pick the 2 Human Anatomy terms out of that list. If you get either of them right in your 2 guesses, give yourself the points you wagered, both of them for a bonus point. So, here we go. Your terms are these. I've got furnunculus, incarcerus, infundibulum, apericium, and torus levatorius. Which 2 are Human Anatomy terms? Number 3. Queen Bee Repeats is the category. All I want to know for this one is how many times does Beyonce sing the word Halo in her 2008 song Halo? A couple of guidelines on this one. It must be a full iteration of the word Halo. For instance, when she says Halo, low, low, that's only 1 Halo because it's only 1 hey in the hello. So, how many full iterations of Halo are there in that song? I'll give yourself a range, plus or minus 10. However, if you get within 1 of the right answer, I'll give yourself a bonus point. It's a lot, too, just FYI. Number 4, false advertising is the category. What Kellogg's brand of breakfast cereal was sued in 2009 for false advertising? It was the slogan, keeps them full, keeps them focused, that was offensive to whoever felt they were advertising falsely. Perhaps it did not keep them focused or full. Number 5, that movie sounds awful. I'm going to give you an accurate but misleading movie description. The plot description? There we go. You got to tell me what movie it is I'm talking about. So here we go. This one came out in 2008. Here's my description. After a young woman and her friend are recruited in France for an exciting new job, her overprotective unemployed father shows up and gets the whole business shut down. What movie from 2008 is that? Number 6, number 1 in Bond is the category. There are many James Bond theme songs, but there's only been 1 James Bond theme song that hit number 1 on the Billboard charts. I want to know the name of that song. It's a good thing it hit number 1 too, because the only other number 1 hit this band had in the United States was their 1983 hit, The Reflex. Name that song. / movie, I guess, because song is the same as a movie. Number 7, Streaking Dodgers is the category. Here's the question. What former LA Dodgers pitcher holds the record for most consecutive scoreless innings pitched? He pitched 59 in a row from the 6th inning in August of 1988 to the 10th inning at the end of September in 1988. For an extra bonus point here, another Dodgers pitcher recently came close, recently within the last, I would say, 5-10 years. Recently came close to that record with 45 2/3 scoreless innings, which was back in 2015. That's recent. Number 8, engine models is the category. In this one, I'm talking about the famous street version of the 426 Hemi that was first made available in 1966 in 4 models, 2 Plymouths and 2 Dodges. Both Plymouths were retired in 1970 and 71, and both Dodges were retired too in 70 and 78. However, the 1978 one was resurrected a couple times in the past couple decades, and a version of it under the same name is still existent, or still in existence today. I want you to name any of those models of car that were the first available to the general public with a 426 Hemi in it. Oh, if you give me any more than one in your 4 guesses, then go ahead and give yourself a bonus point. Number 9, heteronyms is the category. Heteronyms are words that are spelled exactly the same but are pronounced differently. I always use the example of the word D-O-V-E. Could be the past tense of the word to dive, or it could be a white bird symbolizing peace. Depends on how you pronounce it. So here we go. What heteronym, depending on its pronunciation, can be defined as a fun little vehicle to use when zipping through a city, or what you did after you crashed it? What is that heteronym that fits both of those scenarios? And number 10, his greatest fear is your category. In the classic SNES game, The Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, one could say that Link suffers from allochthorophobia, especially after discovering an Easter egg in the game that punishes Link for being a jerk. What is allochthorophobia a fear of? And a bonus point on this one, if you have allochthorophobia, it's very possible to say that you have autophobia as well. What is that a fear of for 1 bonus point? Those are your 10 questions, folks. I'm going to put all 10 of them on screen right now. Feel free to pause the screen and go ahead and work on your answers. If you're going by pub rules, again, 10 minutes would be the time, but you take your time. We got plenty of time here. Anyway, see you in a minute for the answers. Bye-bye. And we're back for those wager round answers. Here we go. Question number 1, champagne input was the category. I'm looking for the 3 grape varietals of French champagne, and those could only be these 3. Pinot Noir, Pinot Meunier, and Chardonnay. Anything else is not true. Capital C, champagne. It would just be a sparkling wine of that variety. Number 2, Harry Potter Human Anatomy. The 2 terms you should have singled out there, human anatomy terms, were infundibulum, which connects the hypothalamus to the pituitary, and the torus levatorius, which is just below the auditory tube. Helps with the lifting of the epiglottis, maybe? I don't know what it does. Scientists, you tell us. Number 3, Beyonce drops 68 individual halos on us in that song. 68. If you got anywhere close to that, within 10, then give yourself the point you wagered. If you got within 1 of that answer, man, you deserve a bonus point. You sure do. Number 4, false advertising. It was Kellogg's Frosted Mini Wheats that got sued for that misleading tagline of theirs. Number 5, that movie should have been Taken. He had a particular set of skills, but he had no particular job. Just want to note that. Number 6, number 1 about it, that is A View to a Kill, Duran Duran's hit song. Number 7, Streaking Dodgers, that was Oral Hershiser who held that record. But very, very recently, Zach Greinke came close. Although he's still a couple of places away from Hershiser. He just was the most recent one. Number 8, engine models. That 426 Hemi, first available in the street legal version for people, regular people like you and me, in the Plymouth Belvedere and Satellite, as well as the Dodge Coronet and the Dodge Charger. Dodge Charger. The Coronet and the Belvedere were pretty much the same car, though. So, I mean, really only 3 cars were available with it. But, 4 model names. And that was the question. Number 9, heteronyms. Those 2 words you should have written down that are spelled exactly the same but pronounced differently are moped and moped. Moped and moped. And number 10, alactorophobia is a fear of chickens. Chickens. Yes, there's an Easter egg in that game that punishes Link for slicing chickens too many times. A bunch of chickens come out and attack you in that game. If you have a fear of chickens, then you might also be afraid of yourself, you big chicken. That is what autophobia is, a fear of oneself. So, that is that. Those are your answers. Go ahead and total up the ones you got right. Add those points you wagered to your score. The ones you get wrong, they're just zeros, no negative points. Total them back up, and I will meet you here for the connections round in just a moment. See ya. Alrighty, folks. Welcome back. Your third round of the game is the connections round. In this round, you're going to get 10 questions, but in a little bit of a different format than you just got. Questions 1 through 9 are going to be seemingly unrelated trivia questions, and they're all going to be worth 5 points apiece. Question number 10 is always the same question. It is, what is the connection between all 9 correct answers? It's worth 10 points, and the connection can be anything, so dig deep into those 9 answers. It could be bodies of water, it could be all things with holes in the middle, anything. Dig deep and see what the connection really is between all those answers, because I swear to you, they all have a connection. So, let's jump into these questions with number 1. Here it is. What now famous fictional character was first portrayed on screen by David Hasselhoff in a 1998 Fox made-for-TV movie? A different actor took up the role in 2008 and has appeared in several of the MCU movies to date. Number 2, Pixie Stix, Bottlecaps, Laffy Taffy and Nerds are all brand name candies from the Nestle Candy Shop, a division of Nestle that was once called what? It was founded in 1971 with a launch that was tied to the release of a popular film. Number 3, in the Lord of the Books series of films and movies, I want to know whose forces were responsible for the raids on the location known as Osgiliath. I'll give you a 50-50 on this one. Was it Sauron or Saruman who was attacking Osgiliath? Number 4, what famous landmark sits at 47.62 degrees north, 122.35 degrees west, and was opened to the public on April 21st, 1962, just in time for the World's Fair? Number 5, what nickname for the Minnesota Vikings' famous defensive line of the late 60s, early 70s, was taken from a 1958 song by Sheb Wooley, and described their ferocious attitudes as well as their color palette. Oh, by the way, if you can guess the connection right now, you deserve an extra 5 points at the end of the round. Remember that. And blink like Lucille Booth. Number 6, Frigg, or Freea, or Frigga, as she's sometimes called, is a major goddess figure in Norse mythology. Although she has many different stories surrounding her origin and name in different regions, she's almost always depicted as the wife of what other Norse god? Number 7, Pat O'Brien's in the French Quarter of New Orleans is credited with creating what rum-based cocktail with lemon juice and passionfruit syrup? It is traditionally served in a glass that shares its name with the cocktail in question, and is also made to look like a certain type of oil lamp. Number 8, in the Simpsons Halloween special Treehouse of Horror VII, one of the segments focuses on 2 antagonistic aliens from Rigel VII, who disguise themselves as Bill Clinton and Bob Dole in an effort to win the presidency. I want to know which one of those 2, by name, actually won. Not the president they were pretending to be, the name of the alien. And number 9, The Princess Bride is a much less romantic sounding movie when you consider the idea that none of the characters would have had their own voices in the film, or the voices of the actors who portrayed them, but rather the voice of the narrator who is reading the story to his grandson. Who is that narrator? Those are your 9 questions. They're worth 5 points apiece. Question number 10 is always the same. It is, what is the connection between all 9 correct answers? Good luck. Give yourself about 10 minutes or however long you feel like. And I'll meet you on the other side for the answers. Pause your screens when you're ready. Bye-bye. And we're back. Let's see how you did. So, here we go. Number 1, and that's now famous fictional character that was portrayed first by David Hasselhoff on screen was none other than Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. It was a great movie. I highly suggest you go watch it right now. Number 2, Pixie Stix, Bottlecaps, Laffy Taffy and Nerds, all part of the Nestle Candy Shop, originally known as Wonka Candy Shop, or Willy Wonka Candies. Number 3, Lord of the Rings, it was Sauron's forces who were attacking Osgiliath. Number 4, that landmark there is the Seattle Space Needle. Nice place. 5, that nickname for the Minnesota Vikings is the Purple People Eaters. Their purple uniforms and their ferocious appetites for eating O-lines. Number 6, Frigg or Frigga is always married to Odin in Norse mythology. 7, that is the hurricane that was invented by Pat O'Brien's, served in a hurricane glass made to look like a hurricane lamp. Number 8, that alien who won was Kang. Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos. And number 9, the Princess Bride's narrator in the movie is none other than Peter Falk. So what do we have? We've got Nick Fury, we've got Willy, maybe not Willy Wonka, but we've got Willy there. We've got Sauron, we've got Needle, we've got Purple People Eater, Odin, Hurricane, Kang, and Peter Falk. What do they have in common? The answer is one eye. They all have one eye. Nick Fury has one eye. One-eyed Willy, perhaps not Willy Wonka, but One-eyed Willy from the Goonies does have one eye. Sauron has one eye. Needle has one eye. One-eyed Purple People Eater. Odin has one eye. Hurricane has one eye. There we go. Yeah, you can go through them all on your own. Anyway, those are your answers. Total up what you got right. So 5 points apiece, 1 through 9. The connection's worth 10 points. And again, if you guess that connection early, give yourself an extra 5 points for doing that. And we'll see you here for the final round in a moment. Bye-bye. And here we are. The final round is upon us. In this round, you're going to get 2 questions in 2 different categories. In a moment, I'll put the categories up, at which point you should pause your screen and wager on those categories blindly. Blindly meaning you will only know the categories, you will not know the questions at that point. You shouldn't anyway. Your wagers can be anywhere from 0 to 50 points total. That's total, not on each question. That's total between the 2 of them. And the other thing you got to be aware of is that they are true wagers. So if you get the question wrong, whatever points you risk will be subtracted from your score. So keep that in mind as you're wagering. That being said, here are your 2 categories. I've got that can't be true, can it? Basically a true-false question. And number 2 is in the category what's it for? What's it for? So go ahead and pause your screen now. We'll take a look at those questions in a moment. Alrighty, hopefully you paused. Let's take a look at these questions now that you have your wagers in. Question number 1 in the category that can't be true, can it? Is this true or false? If you were born on the equivalent of January 1st in the year 0 AD and earned $150,000 a day every single day of your life without further investing it or otherwise accruing more money and not spending any of it, you would have more money than Jeff Bezos, but only by a little bit, a very small amount. Is that true or is that false? Number 2 is in the category What's It For? Very simple question here. I want to know what the Caldecott Award is for. It was first introduced in 1937, and it's an annual award given to Americans only. In what field? Specifically, what field? That's it. Those are your 2 questions. Go ahead and pause the screen now, and I'll meet you back here for the answers. See you shortly. Bye. And we're back. Here we go. Question number 1. That can't be true, can it? It actually cannot be true. If you were to do that, if you were to accrue $150,000 a day from January 1st in 0 AD, you would have about 110 billion. His net worth is sitting right now somewhere between 117 138 billion. Nobody really knows. But that's, yeah, you would not have as much money as Jeff Bezos. Not even close. And number 2, the Caldecott Award is for children's novels. Not novels. Children's book illustrations, more specifically. But if you said children's books, I'm fine with that. Those are your 2 answers, folks. If you got them right, if you got one of them right, either of them right, whatever ones you got right, give yourself the points and wager on that. Whatever ones you get wrong, whichever one you get wrong, subtract those points from your score and add it up. Your total for this game should be... no, right here. So if you got close to that, hey, good on you. That's it for the game, and some other good news I have for you here since I am down here in the sub-basements. I have stumbled across the old Quiz Mercenary archives, and I've got some special surprises coming your way, especially in the realm of theme games. So your first theme game should be dropping today. It is the classic Simpsons, the first 10 seasons of The Simpsons trivia. So I'll be doing more every week. Hopefully, I'm going to try and shoot for one every 2 weeks, but we'll see how it goes. That's it for your game, folks. Thank you so much. I will stay here, and yes, I am wearing this hat because it's all gone. It's all gone. It's all gone. See you next week. Bye-bye. Hopefully it'll be top.